everybody, Chris Broderick here, and you're at Jackson checking out my Chris Broderick Signature Series SL6 and 7 model guitars. As far as this model goes, its initial inception was based on a guitar that I built when I was in high school. And I loved asymmetrical shapes, and I wanted something that looked like it was in motion, and so that was the initial version that came out. And with this revision, actually, the coolest thing is we were able to streamline it a little bit and make it look, I think, even a little bit more in motion, and at the same time, we lightened it up a little bit, so I think it made it much more playable, much easy to sling around when you're on stage. The color is trans black. I've always loved trans black, and I always love wood finishes, and flame maple is always gorgeous when you look at it. So I love it. It's got a lightly subdued look to it, but it still makes a statement. So. You know, it was really kind of going back to my roots as far as the initial model having a painted neck. And this one has a clear wood finish on it. So I wanted that for the longest time, even though it doesn't necessarily impact my playing that much. But it's kind of like just wanting change over the course of time. And I think a lot of people really dig unfinished necks. So I was like, let's do it, you know? I hear a big difference when I hear different scale lengths. And the 25.5-inch scale length is the best for that universal sort of accommodation of those different tunings. Because even going up a half step, like to F, can get pretty tight feeling, you know. But then if you're going beyond 25.5, that would be way too much. So, and if I went with like 24 3/4, the strings would be all over the place. So yeah, I just think 25.5 is a really good place to catch most of the different styles and genres and tunings that you're gonna be at. I think the biggest sleeper feature on this is definitely the push-pull knobs. And in this case, they both push-pull. The volume knob actually splits the coils, so you get a nice single coil sound out of both the bridge and the neck. And then the one that I typically never use, but wanted to keep it on here for everybody that was interested in this guitar, was the pull tone engagement. So I never really use the tone roll off on my guitars. I always go to the amp or use a preset for that kind of thing. But in this case, I know there are some people who love that old school tone knob. So I decided to put it on there, but I wanted it disengaged when it's not in use because I didn't want it pulling any of the gain from the pickups at all. So that's why I put that on there. So the kill switch is kind of for future me because I've always wanted to use that sort of glitchy sort of sound potentially, but I've never really gotten around to it. I do see myself getting to it sooner or later, but it also just functions straight up as a kill switch, meaning that it latches at the same time. So you can use it for glitchy things, but it also latches, so it's just a permanent kill. If you don't like turning down your volume, you can just hit that real quick. The guitar is silent. So these particular pickups are based off of an original PAF Pro, which is like my teenage years listening to Paul Gilbert and Vinnie Moore, you know, and just loving the tone that they got out of them. And then this one was a pickup I discovered over the course of my playing, which was based off of a deactivator. However, I wanted a little bit more of a bump in the mid-range area, so I had them goose the mid-range at like 550 hertz, just a little bit, just to give it a little bit more like push. There is no perfect pickup either. You know, it's all preference and things of that nature. They're a good pickup that won't be too bass heavy or top heavy, but really balanced, I think. I think this bridge is awesome. It was actually a suggestion by Jackson for me to check them out. And I love it because it's super smooth and buttery. It's easier to control. It also flutters really well, and it sounds great. My vision of the perfect guitar is that no guitar can be perfect. You know, it can't suit every need, but I do think this one is like the best combination of sleeper elements that you can put in a guitar without it getting too far from its like metal heritage. So that's the one thing I really love about it.